Hey guys, I hope everybody's well. I hope this video finds you guys all healthy, everybody's safe, and with all your loved ones. Um, I know when all of this abruptly happened, it was kind of uncertain as to what, number one, what was happening, and then number two, when would this end or when would we resume back to normal. So, that being said, with all of this time that's been kind of given to us or thrust upon us, I wanted to take this opportunity to do something that, quite honestly, I have really failed at and dropped the ball. And that's really trying to bring everybody together more and bring everybody together in a way that is beneficial towards the club and most of all our players. And so hopefully these next couple of activities, including this presentation and these next couple of minutes, hopefully help kind of mold and shape us and keep us connected and kind of grounded into our mission. So thank you guys for taking part. Thank you guys for emailing me. Some of you a little bit later than I would have liked. But nevertheless, thank you guys for those of you that did participate. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate everything that you were able to give towards this presentation. Hopefully, you'll continue to do the things. So, yeah, without any further ado, I just wanted to start with those three questions that I asked you guys. And when I put out that email, I wanted to start that email with obviously just kind of a brief synopsis about where we were and hopefully where we're going. And for us to, I think, get there, we need to kind of do a little bit of reflecting first. And so that's why I gave you those three questions. And those three questions were, why do you coach? What does the ideal FC Dallas East Texas players look like? Some characteristics, and then how do children learn? Because that's mostly our target audience. So now I'm going to try to reveal those answers that you submitted to me, and everybody's was different. Everybody had a bit different taste and flavor as to why. So I tried to capture as much of that as possible. All right. So the first question: why do you coach? And some of the answers are as follows. There was a love of the game. There was a love of kids, passion. Passion actually showed up quite frequently, to be honest with you. They had you guys put down that you wanted to be an example. You had past coaches that were good examples for you that you wanted to be like. There was the mention of kind of that spiritual connection that it gave you. You wanted to develop skills, stimulate learning. There's that word learning. Um, you said it brings joy. You wanted to share some successes. There was a belief that you could improve any player, create sense of accomplishment, pay it forward, or give back. Was put on there quite a few times. Make a difference, and then the love of teaching. So all these reasons from everybody that contributed were kind of captured here. So you can look at how each of these are different, yet collectively, this is kind of the one snapshot of why each of us do what we do. Like I said, and I think almost everybody in this group that's listening, if you're listening for sure to this presentation, that you guys can probably somewhat connect to each one of these in your own way. So thank you guys for being vulnerable and sharing all that stuff with me. We're going to kind of come back to this here in just a little while. Kind of some big picture stuff, a little bit more 30,000 feet in the air. So this was a really, really good kind of first question as to why we coach as individuals. And there's some really, really good reasons right there. So the next question was, what does the ideal FC Dallas East Texas player look like? And I asked you guys to give me some just words or characteristics or phrases. And so a lot of the things that you guys put down, work ethic and effort were on there a lot. Responsible, punctual. I see grit. There was balance. There was scanning and tactically aware. Confident was on there. Leadership. I saw quite a few times. I think respectful, athlete. There's some other good adjectives on here. Confident. There was vision, proactive. For me at the top, I typically try to keep myself as big picture as possible. So that versatility, adaptability, and dynamic, I think, for me are words that I'll use pretty much in every single platform or arena, whether it's my work as an educator, or whether it's my work as a coach or a coach educator now with some of the stuff I'm doing with U.S. Soccer. So those three words tend to try to blanket, for me, blanket, what I would want a player to look like. And the reason I want to do that is because I like to lay out and see all of these things within some context. So the right time to have grit, the right time to be confident, the right time to have vision and passing ability and things of that sort. So really really cool idea for everybody that contributed all of these different little things. And like I said, in my contribution would be those three words: being adaptable, being versatile, and being dynamic. So being able to change and really having all these things in your arsenal. So if I were to answer this question, what's an ideal player look like? All of these would be on there, and then the one kind of asterisk would be being able to figure out when to do what, when to be pacey versus when to be balanced, or when to be passionate and enthusiastic, and when to have grit. So very very good picture. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about this as we go on. So very very good work. A lot of really 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 good answers there. Um, and then the last question: how do children learn? I thought, well, is an interesting one. Like I said, I've got a background in education as an educator, and then obviously my undergraduate work and my graduate work were in education as well. So this is a very very close to the chest topic for me. So let's see what you guys put down. There was a hands-on coaching, mirroring looked like, audible, kinesthetic, visual. Yep, those are good words to describe some mistakes. So they learn by mistake. Accountability, guided questions. That's a really really good one. Scaffolding. That's a big time education word there. I like that. Probing. Competition, relationships. That's a very interesting one that I'd like to elaborate on a little bit later. Perception, action coupling with context and stimuli. I'll be completely honest with you guys, that was my word. But again, just as an educator that's done some deep dives into this. So for me up top, I put fun, play, and experimentation with context. I think number one, first and foremost, children learn by playing and having fun. And the way that you bring about all these different things is creating an environment that is playful and is enjoyable and is fun. And then you can go and kind of tinker those nuts and bolts within that. So, really, really good works. Again, some really, really, really good words that I see on the page here. So, hopefully, we can do a little bit more deep dive into that. But nevertheless, awesome work. I think all of this is really, really good. So, um, kind of the next step, kind of where do we go from here? For me, going back to those three questions, the first one being, what is your why? I'd like to figure out what is our why. For those of you that have read Simon Sinek, what start with why. He talks about this kind of golden circle. He talks about organizations or businesses or sports teams, whatever the case may be, having a central why, kind of this circle that on the outside it's what you do. So for us, it's soccer. We're delivering a soccer experience. How you do it, maybe you could put in like our curriculums or our programs. But what I would like to figure out first, and what he claims is the most overwhelming factor in real growth and development and success, is defining your why first. Start with the why first. So what I would like to do, and again, we'll capture this at the very end, is let's figure out. We know what each individual has their why as coaches, and now we need to figure out as a club, as a juniors program, as youth programs, what is our why? What is our mission or vision, so to speak, based on where we are in Texas, the type of kids that we have, and the things that we have available to us. So that'll be kind of our step two, is to figure out our why as the club. And then the second thing was, what does the ideal um, player look like? Todd Bean is the founder of Tovo. If any of you have ever heard of the Tovo, I was fortunate enough to meet Todd and spend 2 days with Todd on one of his courses. And his methodology really breaks down, and I loved it, really broke down what they deliver in their players into three main components, which is the competency, kind of the what they know, and their understanding of how to do it. So, kind of the nuts and bolts. The character aspect, so the character attributes and traits of those players, and then the cognition, really the decision makings within a cerebral context. So if you go back and think about those things that we talked about, competencies, you talked about the passing ability, the technique, the speed, those are competencies. The how to's, the nuts and bolts of something. And then you look at the character bucket, let's call them buckets. You look at the character bucket and you looked at the grit, the responsible, the your work ethic. Those things could all be dumped into that bucket. And then you think about the cognition. You talk about being tactically aware, the decisions that they're making. We want them to be proactive, right? We want them to be, all these things that have to do with cognition. What goes on? What decisions are they making? Quick thinker, adaptable, right? So all those things would go into that bucket. And his argument would be, if you actually laid them out, if we went back and laid all those out and separated them into their buckets, the character and the cognition buckets would be far more full than our competency buckets. And so I would like to do the same with us, and then let that drive our curriculum or drive our methodology or drive our programming. So that'll be kind of that step two. And then the last thing that we want to visit was our how do children learn? This is really our best practices. So we take, you guys mentioned how you guys thought children learned. Well, how are we bringing those things out? How are we facilitating that within our practices, within our programs, within our methodologies? And so what I want to do is really open the floor up to you guys and really look at what's working best in your environments. What types of things, what types of activities, what type of exercises, the order of the exercises. Are they drills? Are they games? Is it a constraints led approach? Is it guided questions? Is it a very, very hands on, kind of Montessori, type thinking? Or, so what we want to do is do a deep dive into that, taking those things that we think about children and how they learn, and then let's figure out what's been working for us so that we can collectively move in that direction. So be looking for activity too, guys. Thank you guys for spending some time with me. I know I'm a little long-winded, but I'm going to try to capture as much of this in an email as possible, and then I will send out kind of the next round, so to speak, of items for us to do. Again, thank you guys. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope everybody's enjoying at least some of this downtime to kind of recharge and refresh, and kind of sharpen yourself. So, again, be on the lookout. Please text me after you get this if you watched it. Let me know that you watched it. I tell you what, the first one to watch it and text me after you get this, I'll mail you a $10 Starbucks card. All right. See you guys. Be safe.